Hello, sports fans. Welcome to the show. My name is Nate Miller, and this is Givin Takes. This is going to be my new online sports show where every week I sit down and talk about everything sports related. New headlines that are buzzing in the media, my takes on things that are happening in sports, hot takes, projections, things that I think sports needs fixed. Everything you can imagine or everything you could want in a sports show, I'm going to be talking about here. As I said, I'm going to be the primary host. I am Nate Miller, and before I get into a little bit more about myself, I'll let you know I don't intend on being the only face you ever see on this podcast. While this is the first episode, the inaugural episode, the start of something new, I hope to grow this eventually. I hope to grow this into something big, something fun. And through that, I hope to have on a lot of guests that maybe they're my buddies. Maybe they're, someone famous one day. We're very far away from that, but those are the long-term aspirations that I hope to achieve eventually. But for now, it's just me and you watching, and this camera, and the microphone over here, and my, as you can tell, very professional backdrop that I have put together. And we're just going to talk about sports every week. And I'm really excited for this, and I hope everyone watching is as well. So a little bit about me before we get into what we're going to be talking about today. I'm 22 years old. I currently reside in the beautiful city of Pittsburgh because it's the best. As you can tell by my Paul Skeens jersey, I have an affinity for all things Pittsburgh sports. So I may be a little biased from time to time, but you're going to have to give me some slack. I also am a proud Michigan State graduate. I bleed green and white, as you can tell by the Mateen Cleaves jersey. Those are my two big real passions. Pittsburgh, Michigan State. Call it biased. I'm biased a little bit. But I'm also in the same regard call it nitpicky. I'm very crucial of what these teams do because, I love them so much. So especially in this first episode, I'll be talking about them a little bit more than I will going forward because I want to set the tone for what I like as a sports fan and who I am as a sports fan. But we'll go off and talk about more broader things as we go on. And if it wasn't already obvious, this is the first episode. My amazing presence in front of the camera is definitely proving that right now. So all the fluff aside, everything you know about me now is all I wanted you to know, and we're going to get into today's starting lineup, the 9 topics we're going to be talking about today. Leading off, we're going to be talking about Mike McCarthy, the new Steelers head coach, how I feel about that hire, and kind of why I think the fandom is overreacting a little bit too much. A lot of people don't like it. I do. I'm going to explain why. Then I'm going to go into the problem with all-star games. A lot of all-star games now are just not what they used to be, and I kind of want to talk about why I think that is. And after that, we'll move into the World Baseball Classic. It's coming up, going to be starting on March 6th. It is going to be awesome, and I am going to tell you why. After that, MLB season is coming up soon. And there are some moves that I believe still need to be made by some MLB teams, so I'll dive into that a little bit. And then we're going to be moving on to the disrespect of some former stars. Primarily Chris Paul and Andrew McCutchen, what they're going through right now. I believe they're very, very similar players in very similar situations with very similar franchises. After that, logos are getting worse. Not sports teams' logos, but just kind of all-encompassing logos are getting bad. Why are they getting bad? We're going to talk about it. For the last 3, rounding out our starting lineup today, we're going to do a State of the Union. I'm going to do one of these every week where I pick a team, organization, something along those lines to nitpick, talk about, probably complain about, because if I'm putting you on this State of the Union, I don't think you're in a very good spot as an organization. So this week's State of the Union is going to be for Michigan State basketball. There are some problems there right now. And then after that, we're going to be going to Super Bowl 60. Happened about a week ago, and there's some things I want to talk about regarding that game, kind of a week removed from it. Everyone's had some time to kind of think about the game. Headlines have come out. People have given some blasphemous takes on how they feel about the Super Bowl that I want to talk about a little bit. And then 9th in our order today is going to be a look ahead, just a little peek in what I think NFL free agency is going to look like. Very, very small peek into it because we're still very far away from free agency, but just a couple moves I'd like to see some teams make, just wet the whistle with it a little bit. And then the final thing we're going to be doing is something I'm going to hopefully do every week, which is a top 10 list. Sometimes it'll be related to sports, sometimes it won't be. It's just going to kind of be whatever I'm feeling like. So without further ado, let's get to our lead-off topic. Mike McCarthy. Boy, I have some things to say about this. Where do I even start? I think I'm going to start with the fact that I don't understand the overwhelming amount of hate that this hire is getting from specifically the Pittsburgh fan base. Everywhere I see, it's people clamoring that, oh, we want a Chris Shula. Chris Shula fits the mold of what we've been doing for the last 60 years within the Super Bowl era. But let's look at that. All right, Chris Shula, young, defensive-minded head coach, no head coaching experience before. That's what Tomlin fell under. That's what Cowher fell under before Tomlin. Now, we made, and I say we when talking about the Steelers, because as I said, if the terrible talent in the Skeens jersey didn't make it obvious enough, I love Pittsburgh. So when I say we, that's what I'm talking about. But we didn't do that much under Cowher and Tomlin, regardless of what people want to think. We made 2 Super Bowls under Cowher, went 1-1. We made 2 Super Bowls under Tomlin, went 1-1. Now, you could say 4 Super Bowls over however many years it is from 92 to now, so 30-plus years, 34 years. That's pretty good. But you only have 2 wins, and outside of Tomlin's winning season streak, which really doesn't mean that much when your last 7 playoff games, you're 0-7, what is the desire within the fan base to keep that trend? What exactly have you seen that was so fantastic that you want to take a chance on another inexperienced guy and make him the head coach? I mean, Tomlin won 1 Super Bowl, and it was in his second year. That was Cowher's team. Tomlin did absolutely nothing to build that team. Was he the head coach of that team? Did he have absolutely fantastic relationships with the guys on that team? Yes, he did. And I'm not denying that the players loved him, and whenever they'd go out onto the gridiron, they wanted to play for Tomlin because they loved him. But that's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And why do we want to repeat that with a defensive coordinator who in the NFC Championship, granted the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl, his defense gave up 30-plus points. Like, what part of that do Steeler fans see and think, yes, we wanted that? Because also it came out that he botched his interviews. So even if you don't think that his defense did bad and that matters, with everything else combined, I don't understand why everyone is just blindly like Chris Shula solely because he fits the mold. The mold does not matter when you're not consistently winning. Tomlin overstayed his welcome a little bit. He should have been gone. After Pickett failed, Tomlin should have been gone, and we should have started fresh after Pickett left. But he stuck around a little bit too long. Now we're in kind of a weird spot as an organization. And now, in comes Mike McCarthy. An experienced head coach, an offensive-minded head coach. What have the Steelers been lacking in? Offense. Years and years. It's been the defense is stellar, the offense is not. So why would we want to get another defensive young head coach when the offense is the thing struggling? An offensive-minded head coach is exactly what this team needs. Not only that, but an offensive-minded coach who's experienced. And yes, I understand maybe he was forced out of Green Bay, but he won a Super Bowl there first. And then you could say, oh, but he was forced out of Dallas too. Why would you want him? Well, Dallas can't just go and fire their GM to try to make a fix before they fire their head coach, because their GM is Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys. That situation, I feel like, is an outlier, as if to say, oh, he was coaching for the 49ers instead of the Dallas Cowboys at the time. I don't think that fire is fair to judge, because he had good records with those Dallas teams outside of his last year there. They won the division. They made the playoffs. They won a couple playoff games, something that the Steelers have wanted to do since 2017. So how do you look at Mike McCarthy and think, oh, this is a terrible hire, this is going to be bad? Even if you're like, oh, he's old. Sean Payton just got hired by Denver, and Denver was just the 1 seed in the AFC. They had a good defense. They needed help on offense. I think it's a very similar situation, and I think Mike McCarthy is a great fit. And all the fans that are bitching and moaning about this, I think are just sheep in a herd. They're just following what we think they're just following what everyone else says they should do because it fits the mold. Like I said, the mold hasn't worked. The mold has led to consistent mediocrity over the last 30 years outside of 4 Super Bowl appearances and 2 of which that we won. I really think Mike McCarthy, is he going to change this franchise in 1 year? Are we going to go win Super Bowl 61? Probably not. But is he going to start something that I think eventually builds into a Super Bowl caliber team, or at least a team that wins a playoff game, which is really what Pittsburgh needs right now? Yes, I do. And with all that being said, the big situation is still quarterback, right? Will it be Aaron Rodgers, the guy who has a relationship with Mike McCarthy, or the young Will Howard, who would be able to learn, who has learned under Aaron Rodgers and would be able to get developed by Mike McCarthy, who is a notorious developer of quarterbacks. Like, all these things being said, I don't understand why there's so much blind hatred towards this man before a snap has even been played, before a signing has even been made, or a draft pick has even been made. There's a lot of unnecessary hate, and do I think we're going to go out and win the Super Bowl like I said? Probably not. But especially given that he's a Pittsburgh guy, he understands what this city wants and needs. I truly think it's going to be the start of something really fun in Pittsburgh, and I don't think people should be pessimistic about it. I think people should have a more optimistic mindset. Now we're going to move on to our second topic. Fantastic transition there, I know. But it's kind of a total 90-degree turn from where we just were. All-Star games. What's the problem with All-Star games? Everywhere I look online, people are complaining that this game's gonna stink. Like I'll start with the Pro Bowl because that just took place. What the hell is the Pro Bowl now? I get with the extra game in, guys don't want to get injured, and because of that, they switched to flag football. I think that idea within itself is fine. But these players don't care. Like, they go out and it's a joke. Like, 60 to 50, you got a tush push on the one in the Pro Bowl. Like, what's the point of getting all your favorite players voted? Like, guys having great caliber seasons, like, Pro Bowl caliber season used to mean something. But now you make the Pro Bowl and it's just like, Shadur Sanders, who had 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, he's in there, and he's going to let Jamar Chase throw a pass to him and whatever. Like, that's not what people want to see. Like, I think what the NBA did well last year that the NFL might need to incorporate in order to make people try if they want to stick with this flag football route is the whole charity aspect. In 2020, whenever they came up with the idea that the 2 teams in the NBA All-Star game were going to be playing for charity, I thought that was super smart because if anyone remembers, that fourth quarter in that 2020 NBA All-Star game was amazing. We really did see the best of the best from the East and the West going at it, playing as hard as they could to win this basketball game, which at its core is what everyone wants to see in these games. That's why we vote for the best players in the fan vote. That's why people take into consideration, like, the professional writers and everything. All right, who should get in? Because it's supposed to be the best of the best putting on a very entertaining show. And the Pro Bowl is just not that. So in that regard, I think the Pro Bowl, they just need a reason to be out there. And I think competing for charity is the first step because the NFL is filled, all sports are filled with incredibly generous and charitable athletes. Like, especially in the NFL, the Walter Payton Man of the Year award gets given out every year. There are people in the NFL who care about giving to charity. So why not make the incentive for the Pro Bowl the charity of the AFC or NFC? Maybe there's a Walter Payton Man of the Year in the AFC and the NFC, and whatever charity they support is what the money goes towards. So then, yeah, we might be watching flag football, and it's not the normal football we're used to, but it's people competing. It might be 7-on-7. It might be different. But if you have quarterbacks trying to make legit passes and run legit plays and DBs are trying to stop those plays, I think that would actually get people to tune in. It's compared to whatever the hell happened the week before the Super Bowl, because that was just not, it was just not entertaining. I don't care what way you cut it. It wasn't entertaining. Yes, maybe if you liked seeing 170 points get scored or whatever it was, probably more like 120. Yeah, you might like that, but the majority of football fans don't like that. They want to see a competitive game of football with the best going against the best. And I think a good starting point for the NFL, because I agree, keep flag football because you don't want to increase injuries for these players who already have to play so many games of football every year, a sport where so many people get injured every year. Keep it flag football, but give them an incentive to play and compete. Now, kind of switching over more to the NBA, that one's tougher to fix because they're doing the charity thing now, and while it worked back in 2020, it kind of seemed like they just got used to playing for charity, and now it's just that fire in them to win that money is for charity is just gone. And I know now they're kind of doing like the OGs versus the youngins versus the world, and I think that'll help a little bit. And that's because it's different. Like, the NBA needs to be constantly changing how their all-star game is, kind of the exact opposite of the NFL, who just needs to keep the one thing going. I think the NBA should change the format, not every year, but maybe every two or 3 years, because what happens is it just gets stale. Not for the fans, for the players. Like, Kevin Durant was talking about this week how the OG team is going to be trying really hard to win because they don't think the world is going to try. Well, if I'm a world player hearing that, I'm like, oh, well, you're not just going to come in and beat us because you think we're not going to try. Like, that's going to motivate me to try harder. So how do we get the players to care more? Because as the fans, like I said, we just want to see good basketball being played. That's not going to happen if the players don't care. So if the charity idea has already started to become stale, you need to continuously find a way to promote, call it rivalries within these NBA All-Stars. Any reason for them to legitimately want to win this game more than the opponent they're facing. Like, if they don't have that drive to win, like, just going out there and playing is clearly not enough. The honor of being an All-Star, while it might mean something to the players, their play in that game does not reflect the honor of what being an all-star used to mean. It just doesn't. Like, you go out and watch any of the all-star games from 21 to 25. It's just boring basketball. Like, every shot's a three. No one could be bothered to play a lick of defense. It needs to be changed, and that's just, it has to be through incentives, building rivalries. I think the 1v1 tournament that the female basketball players are doing right now is an absolutely fantastic idea, and I think the NBA needs to incorporate that in All-Star Weekend because that's the best, going against the best, one-on-one, no help, who's the better player. That creates competition. That creates rivalries. That is what the NBA needs right now, is just something new, something fresh to keep these guys competing. Because as fans are going to watch if it's a good game. It's not like fans just don't like All-Star games. Let's take the Midsummer Classic, for example. The MLB All-Star game last year. It took a dip in ratings from the year before. I think it peaked at 8.1 million viewers, averaged around 7.4, 7.5, something like that. It was still the most viewed All-Star game of any of the major 4 North American sports last year. By a lot. And why is that? Well, you could say it's because you can't really not compete in baseball. You can't just throw a meatball every time and let the guys just mash the ball. You can't take lazy swings when you're up to bat because you don't really care about hitting it. You can't do that. So you could say it's because baseball is a game that you can't really take easily. But I think that is more, it makes it more obvious than anything else that when it's a good competition, it is fierce competitors going at each other, that it creates a fun product that people are going to turn into and watch. That swing-off last year was one of the best moments of the MLB season. Like, all regular season and playoffs aside, if you're looking at the top 10 moments from the 2025 MLB season, that swing-off is top 5 easily. That was so much fun. All the fans loved it. It was new. It was exciting. And the guys were trying. That is what the NBA and the NFL, they need to figure out a way to get the same intensity that's in that baseball game and the same fan appreciation and love that happened in that baseball game. They need to figure out a way to translate that into their leagues. Because if they don't, the Pro Bowl and the NBA All-Star Game are just going to become just another thing. No one's going to watch. No one's going to care. And then what's the point? Then being an All-Star just becomes a title. A somewhat meaningless title. So that's all I have to say about that. That was a little bit of a rant, but I think All-Star games need to be fixed. And not all, like I said, it's mostly just the NBA and the NFL, but they need to take a good long look at the product they're putting out right now and figure out ways to fix it. And now, talking about baseball and how exciting that swing-off was, something that's going to be even more exciting than that is the World Baseball Classic. Whew, this is gonna be something fun, because let me tell you, there are a whole lot of storylines in this. First off, this isn't even a storyline. The talent pool across all the countries that are competing this year is amazing. You have guys even like Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is trying to get in on the action so much the Astros won't let him. Bad Bunny's willing to pay his World Baseball Classic insurance fee. That's how badly he wants to compete in this. Everyone wants to play, and everyone who's in there is going to play their hardest. And it's so much fun. Something about playing for your country, I mean, everyone sees it with the Winter Olympics right now. It just brings out a different fire in these players. Like, the energy everyone is going to see during the World Baseball Classic, you might not see again for the next 3 years. Because even in the postseason, when guys are competing, screaming, yelling, hyped up, trying to win the Commissioner's Trophy, it does not even slightly compare to the energy that I saw during the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Like, first inning of a pool game. First inning of your first pool game. Guy strikes out the side. He's going to be walking off the field fired up, screaming, ready to go. Because he's wearing his flag on his chest. He's playing for his teammates that are wearing that same flag. And that you just can't replicate that amount of passion. Even if it's for a guy trying to win his first World Series, there's something about playing for your country that has been proven all throughout time. I mean, like I said, through the Olympics and even past World Baseball Classics, that just brings out a different fire in someone. And now you take that energy and add in the fact that so many more stars are competing last year. Like, I'll take the USA, for example. The USA's rotation in 2023 wasn't that great. It was, like, Adam Wainwright was on there. I honestly, the rest of the rotation feels kind of forgettable. It wasn't that good. Their pitching, honestly, even though they lost in the finals to Japan, is kind of what didn't make them a dominant force throughout the entire thing. But this year, Paul Skeens is pitching. Tarik Skubal is pitching. Both former Cy Young Award winners are pitching for the USA. I can't even put into words how fun that's going to be to watch. Like, we're going to get to see Paul Skeens and Tarik Skubal in the same rotation, and then you have Captain America Aaron Judge joining in on the fun this year too, who won the MVP last year. I mean, those three names alone for the USA, now that you see those guys participating, if that doesn't get you excited to watch the WBC, I don't know what will. Because it's also not like, USA is just going to dominate. Not a chance. Not even with those names. Because you look at Japan and all the talent they have. You look at the Dominican Republic. You look at Puerto Rico. You look at Venezuela. All 5 teams right there, any of them can go out and win it. They all are so jam-packed with talent. Any combination of those 2 teams face each other, it's going to be must-watch television. It's the best against the best the entire month of March. I'm at like a loss of words for it because I'm getting excited just thinking about it. It's going to be so much fun. I encourage everyone to watch it because you're not going to want to miss it. I mean, Paul Skeens, he got the call. He said, put it down in pen. I don't care. I'm playing. If you don't think he's going to put his heart on his sleeve and go out there and pitch like his life depends on it, you're surely mistaken. And if you also don't think that energy is not going to only rub off on his teammates, but the competitors that they're facing, you are also surely mistaken. The energy is going to be at an all-time high. The skill level is going to be at an all-time high. The entertainment value of these games will be at an all-time high. I can confidently say that I think this will be the best World Baseball Classic we've ever seen. And I'm definitely going to be talking about the World Baseball Classic more on this show. But for now, that's just all I want to say about it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And make sure you tune in. And now let's get to our cleanup subject for this inaugural episode of Givin Takes, where I want to touch a little bit on some last-minute MLB moves that I want to see get made. So we are about a month and change out from the start of the regular season, and before that regular season starts, I've listed down 4 moves that I want to see get made. The first one, Lucas Giolito is still a free agent. Last year, pitched with the Red Sox, 2025 numbers, started 26 games, 10-4 record, 3.4 ERA, whip under 1.3, and a 2.1 WAR. Someone out there could use a number 1 starter. Heck, you could even say Lucas Giolito could fit in as a 2 depending on what rotation you put him in. But I still think, given those numbers, he can be a bona fide number 1 guy in a rotation. And I think the perfect spot for him is the Houston Astros. Houston just lost Framber Valdez to the Tigers, who just signed a 3-year deal with them. And right now, according to MLB's projected lineups for opening day, their rotation consists of Hunter Brown, Christian Javier, Mike Burrows, Lance McCullers Jr., and Spencer Arrighetti. That's... Oh, and Tetsuya Ime. Almost forgot about him. Hunter Brown had a great year last year, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's at the caliber yet where he can be a bona fide number 1. Lucas Giolito has been a bona fide number 1, especially during his tenure with the White Sox. I think the Astros need to pick him up, because then you can have, if Hunter Brown is your 2, Lucas Giolito is your 1, that's a fantastic 1-2 punch, I think. And now you could say, all right, this is a rotation that has all righties, so if they're going to pick up anyone, they should probably pick up a lefty, because they just lost Framber. I do agree, but when you look at all the pitching talent that's left amongst free agents, I think the smartest move is for them to go out and get Giolito. He's still fairly young. He's only 31. He's going to be turning 32 in the middle of the season this year. I think he's still got another year of ace pitching left in him. So if the Astros want to find a replacement for Framber, I think going out and getting Lucas Giolito is probably the smartest play for them. Another pitcher free agent, this one is not as spring of a chicken as Lucas Giolito, actually quite the opposite, Max Scherzer. I think Max Scherzer should re-sign with the Blue Jays. If the Blue Jays want him, that is. Because I think that team was so close to beating the Dodgers in the World Series last year. They were right there. They had it in the palm of their hand. And then, insert Miguel Rojas, game-tying home run, and then from there, we all know how the rest of that story goes. But I think Max Scherzer has a spot still on that Blue Jay team. I know they bolstered up their rotation a little bit. I know Max Scherzer is not the Max Scherzer he used to be, and he's definitely not getting any younger. But I think continuing to have a veteran presence like Max Scherzer in that locker room, a guy who has experienced defeat before but has also won 2 World Series, and he's a guy who's won 2 World Series before. He's done it. And if he goes, I think the Blue Jays should get him back on that team, because it's really important, I think, on these rosters that are trying to reach the pinnacle of baseball. I think it's very important to have a guy on that roster who's done it before. And Scherzer's done it twice. He almost did it a 3rd time with the Blue Jays last year. I think even if his pitching isn't perfect, for his veteran presence alone and what that can mean, especially when it comes to making your younger pitchers better, I think it's a no-brainer for the Blue Jays before the season starts to go out, sign Scherzer to a little 1-year deal, call it there. I'm not going to say they would be stupid not to, because I understand you're not exactly getting an ace. I mean, Max Scherzer, as I said, is not the Max Scherzer he used to be, but I think you still have to go out and get him. I think it would be smart. And if not the Blue Jays, whatever team gets him, I think is going to succeed. Max Scherzer just kind of radiates. I mean, he's Mad Max for a reason. He radiates energy. He radiates his passion for the game and winning. And I think that's important in a locker room where you're trying to build a winning culture. My third move, excuse me. My third move that I would like to see is I want to see the Marlins grab Rhys Hoskins. The Marlins were a team that kind of surprised people last year, not because they did anything special, but just given the talent that they had, they were a lot better than what people thought they would be. Now, currently, once again, MLB's projected lineups, they have the Marlins first baseman right now listed at Christopher Morel, who is also very capable of playing the outfield. And then you have Jacob Marcy, Kyle Stowers, and Owen Cassie also in the outfield. And then their DH is Griffin Conine. I think you can definitely substitute one of those guys out and move them to the bench for Rhys Hoskins. Now, whether you want to play Rhys Hoskins at first or left, because he's kind of like Christopher Morel in the sense of he's versatile, first baseman, outfielder type. I think you should go pick him up. I think that's a veteran bat who didn't have the best season last year. I mean, hit 237, 12 home runs, 43 RBIs, 332 on base, OPS plus 108. That's a fine season, and I think you need a guy who had a fine season in your lineup. Like, I think Rhys Hoskins was not very good, but he was a good piece in Milwaukee last year. And I think if you take him down to a Miami where they're trying to build a young team that, hey, maybe they can make the playoffs, I think having a veteran guy with some quality postseason experience in Rhys Hoskins would be very beneficial, kind of in the same realm as Max Scherzer. Because if you weren't able to tell, I firmly believe that just veteran presence in locker rooms helps out a lot. It's not going to change your franchise. Rhys Hoskins isn't going to win the Marlins the World Series, but I think he would help them out a lot, especially when it comes to developing these younger guys. Because whatever you want to say about him, made the NLCS last year with the Brewers, he's made the World Series with the Phillies. What else can you want in terms of a veteran who's been there? Yeah, he hasn't won the whole thing, but, baseball's a team sport. It doesn't all rely on just one guy. So I think they should go out, and I think they should sign Rhys Hoskins. I think that would be very beneficial to the Marlins. And then finally, the final move I want to see made, because, I wasn't going to get through talking about the MLB without talking about my Pittsburgh Pirates. I think they need a third baseman. They need a third baseman bad. I like Jared Triolo. He's a great glove, but he's not a hitter like that. He's just not. So what you got to do is you got to go and you got to trade with Houston for Isaac Paredes. Paredes last year hit 254, 53 RBIs, 20 home runs, 123 OPS plus. That's a guy the Pirates need in their lineup. They've signed Ozuna. They've signed O'Hearn. They traded for Lau and Magnum. They built a really good power-hitting core, and I've seen a lot of mock trades that I agree with that we have 3 catchers right now. Andy Rodriguez, Henry Davis, and Joey Bart. Trade anyone. Don't trade Henry Davis because that's Paul Skeens' guy right now. We don't want to mess with whatever Paul Skeens has going on because he's just the greatest pitcher in the league right now. Trade away Bart or Rodriguez. Package in Triolo there too if you want to sweeten the deal. And go get Paredes. I mean, even if you need to throw in a starting pitcher, because I've talked about a little bit earlier how the Astros are lacking a bit in the starting pitching department after losing Framber, go ahead and do that. We have Seth Hernandez in the minors. We have Bubba Chandler, who we just called up, and we have Jones, and we have Skeens. Like, we can trade away Braxton Ashcraft. We can trade away Mitch Keller. It might hurt the rotation a little bit, but we have enough pitching. We need to go out and get another bat, and I think the perfect bat to fit the mold for what they're trying to build in Pittsburgh is Isaac Paredes. So that's all I'll say about that. That was a little quick. That's just something I want to see happen that I hope happens, but fingers crossed as a fan. Now, kind of keeping on that Pirates topic, I'm going to move into the disrespect of former stars. What the hell's going on with Chris Paul and Andrew McCutchen? I mean, Andrew McCutchen was, like, if you think of the rebirth of the Pirates after the 20 straight losing seasons from 1993 to 2012, who's the guy you think of in that first winning season? MVP Andrew McCutchen in 2013. It is not crazy to say he single-handedly turned this franchise around. It's not crazy at all. And even then, you traded him away. He went and played for the Giants and the Brewers and the Phillies and the Yankees. And then you re-signed him to a 1-year deal. He came back when you were bad. He played for the city, tried to bring some fire, some hope into the clubhouse. It didn't work. Then you re-signed him again. It didn't work. Then you re-signed him again. Still didn't work. And now you're actually building a core that can go out and make the playoffs. The Pirates currently sit at a 42.7% chance to make the postseason, which is far and away the best they've ever had preseason in a very long time, easily over the last decade. So why now are you going to disrespect Andrew McCutchen and not give him a spot? Now I understand that he's not entitled to a spot just because of what he's done in the past. But come on, let's be honest here. It's kind of a douche move to not bring him back. He's done everything. He bleeds black and gold. His son is named Steel. Why are we treating Andrew McCutchen this way? It makes us look terrible as an organization. It makes us look selfish that, oh, we don't need you anymore because now we're actually good. I mean, when people said you were signing Andrew McCutchen as your mascot or whatever the last 3 years, I thought everyone was full of it, because it's like, no, you care about Kutch, you want him in this, you think you're building something, and you want him to be a part of it because he deserves it. I believe that. But now it really did feel like you were just signing him as a mascot. You used him as a way to sell tickets and get people to the ballpark. Oh, people will come because we have Andrew McCutchen. And now, because you've actually built a better offense, you don't need Andrew McCutchen anymore? You don't even want to give him the satisfaction of being a part of the first legitimate contending team that Pittsburgh has had in years? That's a bad look. That's a really bad look for the organization. And a similar organization and a similar player going through a similar thing is Chris Paul with the Clippers. Chris Paul made it known that this was going to be his last season. Everyone knew, and he signed with the Clippers, the team that he's probably... That Clippers jersey is probably the most iconic Chris Paul jersey when you think back. You think back to Lob City, him, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. When you think about that first big boom in the Clippers, like, you think of Chris Paul. Same situation with Andrew McCutchen. But now, and you're not going to go out and say the Clippers are contending, like, for a title or anything. It's not like they're about to go get Chris Paul his first ring. I'm not saying that. But you're going to release him in his last season when he's trying to have a farewell tour? One of the greatest point guards of all time, and definitely one of the best of my generation. You're just going to kick him to the curb and say, we don't need you anymore? We don't want you anymore? We don't care what you've done? I mean, hell, even if he's riding the bench, Chris Paul, more than any NBA player right now, deserves a retirement tour. And yes, more than any NBA player. If LeBron, yeah, but LeBron's won 4 rings. Everyone knows he's on his way out. He's accomplished everything he could want to accomplish. Chris Paul never reached that summit. So there's definitely going to be, this hole in his heart when it comes to how he finished his NBA career. He never got that ring. So on top of it, you're just going to tell him you're not even going to finish the season with us. We don't want you. That's a terrible look. So why are these two organizations with players who helped reignite these franchises and bring them to relevancy, why are they just kicking them to the curb now? What's going on? What are we doing? It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And like what's happening to loyalty? What's happening to loyalty? I don't even know what to say, because it's so ridiculous to me how these guys are being treated. It should not be this way. And granted, I know there are probably young guys in both systems, Pirates and Clippers respectfully, who maybe deserve the spots more. You want to give a young guy a chance to prove himself maybe. You want to give yourself a better chance at winning. But even if this guy is just riding the bench one last time, like, have some heart. Have some compassion for these players that have done a lot for you in your city. I don't know. Loyalty, just slowly, I think it's starting to become a lost thing in sports. Except for Jose Ramirez. Him and Cleveland are like that. But imagine now down the road. Like, could we see a scenario where in the last year, Jose Ramirez's 7-year deal that he just signed, where he's like, I'm gonna retire after this year, are the Cleveland Guardians just gonna be like, nah, we don't want you anymore. We have a better guy that we think is gonna fit your spot. We're gonna trade you away. Now it's a little bit different because he spent his entire career with that team, but it feels like a similar example. Like, I don't know. Loyalty is kind of seeming like a lost art. These former stars are getting more disrespect than they deserve, and I'm not having any of it. It pisses me off, and I don't like it one bit. Something else I don't like at all is our next topic, which are logos now. Why are logos getting worse? And I know it kind of just seems like this whole episode so far might just seem like a rant, and I don't think I really intended that when I started this, but that's kind of how I'm feeling it is now. My mic levels are spiking because of how much I'm just getting agitated. But why do logos suck now? And I'm not talking about sports teams' logos, because I think sports teams' logos are still very good. But when we're talking about like logos for events in sports, they suck. Everything is minimalistic now, and I don't understand why. Everything is boring and seems corporate. It's like we've lost the passion and fire that these graphic designers used to have in creating something. Why is that? We have more graphic design technology at our fingertips than ever before to make absolutely breathtaking images. And I'm not even talking about using AI. I'm talking about using actual artists to create magnificent artwork. There has been more resources and tools to do that now than there have ever been before. So why do the Olympic logos look like this? I'm hoping I'm going to be able to edit a photo of the Olympic medal logo right here. But why do they look like this? They're so just boring and minimalistic and not fun. And it's compared to how they used to look, like this. I'm also hoping I'm going to be able to edit in a photo of how they used to look. But my point is, why are we losing the creativity that we used to have in these logos? I mean, look at the Super Bowl. From Super Bowl 45 to Super Bowl 55, they quite possibly the most boring, low-effort logos for the biggest sporting event of the year. I could have made one of those logos in probably 15 minutes. You put the Roman numeral, you put a thing of the Lombardi. You might put the stadium behind it, because they did that for some of the logos, but not all of them. And that's it. Like, where did the fun and the creativity used to go? Like, fans say this all the time. They want more creative logos. Companies hear this. Like, why are they not doing it? What is the obsession with minimalism and these corporate logos that they can't make anything fun anymore? It baffles me. The Stanley Cup logo is literally just the Stanley Cup and the year. There is no creativity behind that. The World Series used to have all these fun logos for it, and now it looks like someone just went into Adobe InDesign, picked a font, typed out the words World Series, maybe they add a flag, type in 2026, and that's it. NBA Finals logo is just a Larry O'Brien, it says Finals. Like, what? Why does no one care about making logos fun again? Logos from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, when there were so much less like graphic design tools at our fingertips and technology was not as powerful as it was. Why did we get better logos back then than we do now for these events? I feel like I've said this a million times, but this is another thing that baffles me. I don't get it. I don't like it. And I think there needs to be a change. Now, the Super Bowl in recent years, ever since Super Bowl 56, have kind of started to bring it back a little bit. Like, they're putting images in the letters kind of representing the city. I think that's a step in the right direction of creativity. But I think we need to go back to things like this for the Super Bowl and things like this for the World Series. Like, why can't we get back to that point? That it was fun. It was creative. It felt like those logos had some life to them. Now it's just this. This sucks. Let's make it not suck. Okay? All the graphic design people out there that probably aren't watching this, but maybe you are. I'm talking to you. Talk to your boss. Make logos fun again. Like, what are we doing? Everyone wants it. No one wants a boring logo. And maybe it'll take you a day. Maybe it'll take you a full day, instead of 35 minutes to make your logo. But put in that extra time and effort for something that will last forever. A Super Bowl logo will last forever. So put your heart and soul into it. Make it fun again. From me to you, please. Come on. For me. Do it for me. And if not for me, for fans everywhere. It's what we want. Now it's time for, I guess, another rant, because maybe this episode might just be called rants, because that feels like all I'm doing is complaining right now. But it is time for our inaugural State of the Union, and our first team that is going to be put on blast here is Michigan State basketball. Who the hell are the 2025-26 Michigan State Spartans? This basketball team is so weird. And I'll start off by just telling you some of their wins and losses. This team is currently ranked 10th. I'm filming this on Valentine's Day, and last night Michigan State lost. They got their brains beat in by Wisconsin on the road. Week before that, they lost to Minnesota on the road. Not a ranked team. Week before that, probably should have lost to Rutgers on the road. Even Tom Izzo himself said they got lucky and that they needed to fix things. And by the looks of it, they didn't really fix things, because that that Wisconsin game, granted, Wisconsin couldn't miss. They were shooting lights out against a fantastic defense. But you need to win that game. You're ranked 10th in the country. You're trying to go out and make a Final Four. You need to win those games. I mean, this team has beat North Carolina, who's currently ranked 11th, Arkansas, who's currently ranked 21st, Kentucky, who's currently ranked 25th, and they just beat Illinois last week, who is now ranked 8th, but were ranked 5th at the time. How are you beating these super high caliber teams, but you get into Big Ten play, you face these unranked opponents on the road, and you're either losing or barely making it out of there alive? Like, this Tom Izzo team has the caliber to do great things, but they are being held back. And I'm not quite sure why, but it definitely doesn't help that we cannot shoot the three ball. Michigan State cannot shoot threes. Scott was wide open for a three last night. They gave him 10 feet probably on each side of him, and he still missed it. You can't be shooting threes when you can't make them, man. You got to play to your strengths. You got to be gritty. You got to defend. I don't care if they don't shoot a three for the rest of the season if it means they start winning these games. You are giving away possessions basically every time you shoot a three. Your 3-point percentage is absolutely abysmal. Get away from the three. Play more of like an inside game. Play the post. Just do anything but shoot threes right now. Too many threes are being shot, and way too many threes are being missed. Also, Tom Izzo, I love you. Probably the greatest, top 3 greatest college basketball coaches of all time, despite you've only won one national championship. You're amazing. You've been doing this thing for so long. How can you still not beat a zone defense? You've been around that. You're around basketball basically 24/7 for over a quarter of a century, and you still struggle against the zone defense? How is that possible? Like, I feel bad even shitting on Tom Izzo, because Tom Izzo is amazing and knows a million times more about basketball than I ever could. But how are you still not able to beat his own defense? Like, I feel like maybe I sound ignorant because it's a lot harder to do this than I imagine. But when you live and breathe basketball for over a quarter of a century, I feel like you should be able to beat a zone defense. And also, what these Michigan State Spartans need to be able to do is beat the best of the best. You lost to Duke at home. That's a team you're going to need to beat if you want to make it to the Final Four. That caliber of a team, because you're not going to be a 1 seed. You're going to be a 3 seed at best if you're lucky. 2 seed has gone out the window. You're not going to be a 2 seed. You might be a 3 seed if you're lucky. You lost to Michigan at home. That's also another team you're going to need to beat if you want to make your way to a Final Four. So what I have to say to the Michigan State Spartans: stop shooting threes, figure out how to beat his own defense, and start playing better against these high caliber teams, these cream of the crop teams. Because not only are you losing to them, you're getting embarrassed by them. Like, I don't know how this team is still ranked 10th. They should be like 15th or 16th, because they can beat 90% of basketball teams. You could even say 95. But that top 5%, they don't just lose. They get embarrassed, and it is a problem that needs to be fixed if Tom Izzo wants to go out and either make a Final Four or win a national championship before he eventually calls it quits on his Hall of Fame, amazing, illustrious coaching career. Yeah, that was another big rant. I must just be angry today. I don't know, but that's all I'm going to say for our State of the Union on Michigan State basketball. First, and that was the inaugural State of the Union. I'm hoping that's a segment I hope to keep going every week. I'm thinking I can continue to find teams to always complain about, but we shall see. Now we're getting into our last two topics before we head into our top 10 to close out this inaugural episode of Givin Takes. I'm going to talk about Super Bowl 60. I want to start off by saying it was not a bad game. Super Bowl 60 was a great game. And I'm not just saying that because I'm not the biggest Patriot fan, you know? I mean, as I said, Steeler fan. I didn't want them to win regardless because they would have overtaken the Steelers in Super Bowls. So I was biased in terms of wanting to see the Seahawks win. But that was a great football game. The defense on both sides was amazing. I equate it to like if Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal, the Tigers and the Pirates play each other. Like, if those two duel against each other and it's a 1-0 game, that's not a boring baseball game. That's just an amazing pitcher's duel. That's the same thing that happened in the Super Bowl for me. It was an amazing defensive showdown. Probably definitely two of the top five defenses in the NFL. Seahawks, I'd say, were number one, and Patriots are definitely within the top five. It was an amazing defensive battle. It was so much fun to watch, and even though there weren't many points, if you really did watch it, you were able to appreciate the amazing defensive plays were going on. How Seattle was just able to rush 4 and get to Drake May, so they were able to drop back the other 7 guys in coverage and just absolutely clamp them down. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but I don't even think the Patriots scored until the fourth quarter. It might have been late third. I don't remember exactly. But Seattle's defense locked them down. New England's defense, the scoreboard didn't really show it, but locked them down. The only reason it became a blowout was just the fact that New England was unable to score because of Seattle's amazing defense. I mean, Jason Myers, 5 field goals? It just came down to him kicking. They got no touchdowns until that A.J. Barner touchdown in the third quarter. It was honestly looking like it was going to be the first Super Bowl ever with 0 touchdowns in it, until just that, what was also a very entertaining fourth quarter in terms of points. So, in that regard, I did just want to say that despite people saying that, because it feels like every year it's, oh, this was the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen. No, that was a great football game in terms of defense. In terms of offense, if you wanted to see a bunch of points, you didn't like that Super Bowl. But in terms of just good football being played, defense just beat offense in that game, and I still think it created a great Super Bowl. But also, now let's look and see what this means for teams moving forward. Seattle didn't even make the playoffs last year. And now you add just a quarterback in Sam Darnold and you're able to go and win the whole damn thing. I think that's going to make a lot of teams look at their offseason a lot differently. A lot of teams that look and say, okay, so we have a sound defense, some solid guys on offense. You're going to need a stud playmaker or two. I'm not saying that Seattle had nobody. I mean, K9, JSN, Charbonnet, Cooper Kupp, those are all good players. Those are all legit football players. But last year, they had most of those guys, and they didn't do much. And now, boom, you trade out Geno Smith for Sam Darnold, and you win the Super Bowl. So I think what a lot of teams, like look at a team like the Vikings. I know it's easy to pick on them right now because they're the team that just gave up on Sam Darnold last year. But they legitimately they are a quarterback away, I think, from being that Super Bowl caliber team that kind of Seattle was this year. I mean, you have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, you have Jaden Naylor. Get someone who's not J.J. McCarthy throwing the ball. You have Aaron Jones at running back. You have T.J. Hawkinson as your tight end. You have a defense that can go out there and make plays and lock people down. I mean, they didn't even finish last in the division. They ended up finishing third. I think a lot of people don't realize that. They finished third in that division despite having J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer start a lot of games for them. I mean, if you go out and go find a quarterback like a Daniel Jones or someone who previously has been a Viking, if I'm recalling correctly. I think you're looking at a Super Bowl. And I know I'm using the Vikings as a very specific example, but I think you could find a lot of teams that just need a veteran guy. Maybe he hasn't proven anything. Maybe he hasn't won a Super Bowl before. Maybe he hasn't gone out and done anything spectacular. But a guy who can go out, throw the football, you have some playmakers on your squad, a solid defense. You just put in a solid quarterback. You don't need a Pro Bowl quarterback the year before, an All-Pro from the year before. You go out and find just a good, solid quarterback that can complete his passes, make some moves outside of the pocket, get the ball to who needs to have the ball, and complement that with a defense that can hold the other team to a reasonable amount of points. I mean, it seems like I'm making it sound a lot easier than it is, but I think a lot of teams need to realize that it's that simple in order to build a competitive roster. Solid defense, some good playmakers on the outside, and just a solid quarterback that can get it done. You don't need anyone flashy. You don't need a Lamar or a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl. I mean, hell, two of those guys haven't even done it. You just need a solid quarterback with some playmakers and a good defense to get it done. And I think a lot of teams need to realize that and utilize that ideology whenever we are coming up on NFL free agency. Which is what I'm going to conveniently start talking about right now. Actually, before I do that, I want to say really quickly, dumbest thing I heard this week. Dave Portnoy. Seattle shouldn't have been able to play such a big game on the West Coast. What the hell is that guy talking about? Why are you saying that online? Like, you know people listen to you. You know it's going to be heard. Are you that butthurt that your team lost that you need to say that? Like, you know the second that comes out of your mouth, you're going to be perceived as an idiot. In what space in your mind led you to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, it was Seattle being on the West Coast that did it. Now, it's not like the Patriots have been there for over a week beforehand to adjust to the time zone. I know maybe Dave was a little bit wonky, but what the hell is that, man? Come on. That's just one of the stupidest things you could possibly say. Like, how to make yourself look like an idiot 101. Dave Portnoy saying that the time zone was an unfair advantage. That's all I'll say about that. Now, I'm done ranting. This last subject is not a rant. It's just a little bit of a look ahead into NFL free agency before we get into the top 10. Now similar to the last-minute MLB moves that I talked about earlier, I'm going to talk about now it's very early before we get to NFL free agency, so there's a lot of stuff that could still happen. It's very early on. The draft hasn't even happened yet, so team needs are still up in the air. But these are just 4 quick things that I wanted to say that I think should happen, that I think would be smart moves that take teams to the next level. Well, actually, the first team doesn't even need to go to the next level because they just won the Super Bowl. But it is an absolute no-brainer for the Seahawks to go out and sign Kenneth Walker again. Sign him to a big deal. I know running backs have been undervalued recently, but he just won the Super Bowl MVP. He was a fantastic running back, even paired with Zach Charbonnet, who was getting most of his touchdowns throughout the season. Sorry, Zach Charbonnet, but you were stealing a lot of his touchdowns. I'm a little biased as a Spartan dog, but I wanted to see K9 get in the end zone more. However, I think it's an absolute no-brainer for Seattle to re-sign Kenneth Walker. I think you do it immediately. I think the second free agency opens up. You pick up Kenneth Walker. You say how long and how much. Deal. And you get him back on your team. You will not be the same team without Kenneth Walker. You just won't be. You'll still have Sam Darnold and that amazing defense and JSN. That's all well and good. But your run game, even if you just have Charbonnet, you need K9 to complement Charbonnet in that run game. That 1-2 punch, arguably the best running back duo in the league this year was K9 and Charbonnet. And I'm not just saying that because they won the Super Bowl. When you look at the numbers, K9 and Charbonnet were fantastic this year. So I think number one, across all free agency, the most no-brain decision is K9 going back to the Seattle Seahawks. Another person that I think should go back to a team that they were with last year is Daniel Jones to the Colts. I know I talked a little bit about earlier, he could go to Minnesota. I actually have a different idea coming up in a second for what I think Minnesota should do. Daniel Jones needs to go back to the Colts. They started 7-1. They were looking like they were going to win the division, even be the 1 seed in the AFC. Then they missed the playoffs after all the injuries and just bad football play ensued. I mean, you had Phillip Rivers and Riley Leonard starting games down the stretch after Jones got hurt. It just wasn't going to happen. Give him another chance. Daniel Jones, to me, is in the exact same situation as Sam Darnold was coming into this year. Now, it's a little bit different because Daniel Jones didn't finish 14-3 and go into the playoffs like Darnold did last year. Or Darnold wasn't even 15-3. I think he was 15-2. But Daniel Jones didn't have that kind of finish to his season. And yes, he's coming off an injury. But he's a guy in a similar situation, something to prove, a guy who's been written off, drafted by a terrible New York organization because New York football just seems to be where quarterbacks go to die. Maybe I'll talk about that another day. But Daniel Jones needs to go back to the Colts. Jonathan Taylor, fantastic running back, was putting up ridiculous numbers the first half of the season. They have good wide receivers, and, well, they would need to re-sign Alec Pierce. But Michael Pittman Jr., budding young star, and TJ Warren at tight end, real solid O-line. You still have Quentin Nelson holding that thing down. I think Daniel Jones is the right move. I think you bring him back, and I think you might get a Sam Darnold situation out of him. I mean, if I'm Daniel Jones, I watch what Sam Darnold just did, and I think, why can't I do that? I'm in a very similar situation to Sam. I was written off, drafted by a New York team. People thought I was done. I bounced around the league a little bit. And now I found a home with the fan base that believes in me, that supports me, that really thinks I can succeed. I think he has to go back to Indianapolis, and I think this second half of the season was a bit of a fluke for them. I'm not going to say they're going to go out and go 15-2 next year or anything, but I think Indianapolis can compete for that division with Houston and Jacksonville with Daniel Jones back, and, you know, after you make the dance, anything can happen. And now, the last two things, I'll get into the Vikings thing I wanted to talk about. Don't get rid of J.J. McCarthy, but give him the Jordan Love treatment. Bench him this year. Have him learn under someone. Learn under who? Give Russell Wilson a try, okay? I know it sounds crazy, and it might be contradictory to what I was talking about earlier, but what did Russell Wilson show last year that was so terrible that he didn't get snaps with the Giants? Was it mostly because they wanted to develop Dart? Maybe. I mean, I wasn't at their practices. I didn't see how he was throwing the ball. I know he had some terrible passes week 3 against Kansas City with the game on the line. But he didn't play like a bad quarterback. He's not some terrible quarterback. They have weapons for him in Minnesota. They have a defense that can support him in Minnesota. And I think he can serve as a good teacher to J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy J.J. McCarthy would definitely be a better quarterback after learning under Russell Wilson for a year and observing him. I wholeheartedly 100% believe that. Now, obviously, it won't be able to get proven unless the Vikings do sign Russell Wilson, and I get it would be a very controversial hire for them given what just happened with Sam Darnold, that they just bought into J.J. McCarthy, now to go out and sign another veteran quarterback to replace McCarthy. It would raise a lot of eyebrows. But I think in the long term, that would be good for the Vikings organization, good for Russell Wilson, because I think he's still got some ball left in him. I don't think he's done yet. I mean, hell, with the Giants, he almost started 2-0. Like, that Giants team was very close to starting 2-0, hell, even 3-0 with Russell Wilson. So I think he deserves another chance in the league. I think he can go to Minnesota, have McCarthy as his understudy, and as a team that finished 9-7 last year, I don't think they get worse with Russell Wilson as compared to J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer dominating the snaps. Like, I don't want to say no-brainer, but I think it would be a very fun and interesting move for Minnesota if they went out and got Russell Wilson. And finally, once again, you knew I wasn't going to get out of this without talking about Pittsburgh a little bit. If Pittsburgh doesn't draft a wide receiver in the first round, I'm not going to lose my mind. I'll be tame about it because I understand, hey, maybe you want to get one in free agency. If you do get one in free agency, though, I think you look at Romeo Doubs. I think you look at Christian Kirk, two guys who torched you this year when they played you. I think you saw them play. McCarthy's an offensive-minded head coach, so I think he'll care more than coaches of years past in terms of actually getting a wide receiver too, now to complement DK Metcalf. Go out and get Romeo Doubs. Go out and get Christian Kirk. Just get one of those guys. And if not, draft a wide receiver in the first round. Or do both. Build that receiving core. Because if you do that, then you can actually start putting points on the board. And last time I checked, points are what win football games. So I think that if the Steelers don't do that, then they're just asking for another year of mediocrity with throwing to DK Metcalf and then a bunch of third and fourth rounders. Because that's what the receiving team is. Calvin Austin's in there, or he's a free agent now, but there's last year was Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin and Scotty Miller and Ben Skoranek. Like and Adam Thielen a little bit at the end of the season. That's who's supposed to be drawing pressure off of DK Metcalf. I don't care if you guard any of those guys. We'll all just guard DK Metcalf because what the hell are those guys going to do? You need to go out and get an established wide receiver who can complement DK Metcalf. Christian Kirk has already played the wide receiver 2 role, so I think he'll be able to slide into that complimenting DK nicely. And I know you would be moving Doubs kind of from I would classify him as wide receiver 1 for Green Bay last year. You would be moving him from a 1 to a 2 spot, but I don't think that would be that bad for him. I still think he would be able to play a great ball. I mean, hell, there's even a chance that it's kind of a 1A, 1B situation instead of a wide receiver 1 and 2. Like I think that would be extremely beneficial to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So please, Pittsburgh, please, just go out and finally get a wide receiver. Your team needs it. Because if you don't, like I said, it's another year of just 10-7. It's 10-7 again. 10-7. Oh, I guess I did have a little more to rant about there at the end. All right. Now, with all my topics, my first starting 9 is officially done and out of the way. We're going to get into our first top 10 list of this Givin Takes show. And the first top 10, because I didn't really talk about this sport at all today, so I did want to find a time to highlight them. I'm going to do my top 10 logos in the NHL. I talked about how logos are getting worse for sporting events earlier. I didn't talk about the NHL. NHL logos are by far and away the best logos in sports. I mean, when you just look at the sheer, top to bottom, all 32 teams, the majority of those logos are fantastic. So really quickly, not really quickly, somewhat quickly, I'm going to go through and I'm going to give you what I think are my top 10 logos in the NHL. At number 10, I have the New Jersey Devils. I love this logo. I think it's very cool. I love logos that have little messages or just small little Easter eggs hidden within them. You see NJD, New Jersey Devils. All 3 of those letters are located in this. You have the little tail and the horns of the devil. I just think it's a very creative logo. You have a little bit of hidden messaging in there. I think that one's fantastic. Number 9, I got the Calgary Flames. This one's a little bit more simple, It's not anything special, but I think kind of the simplicity of it is what makes it so good. It's just a sea with fire coming off the back, It's simple. They're the Flames. It's not too flashy. I think it's simple enough to where it's just a very good and solid logo. I really like it. I think it looks great. The red and the gold and the black, especially when they put it on some of their alternate uniforms, that logo just really pops. And I think, once again, fantastic logo. Because all the logos on this list, I will probably say, are fantastic. Because they are. Like I said, NHL logos are just amazing. Including our one at number 8, the Vegas Golden Knights. I love it. It's, once again, simple enough, has a little bit of a hidden message in it. It's the Golden Knight helmet. It's got the eye slit cut out for the V that stands for Vegas. I love that. I think it's so smart, yet so simple, and it makes for a fantastic logo. Coming in at number 7, we have the San Jose Sharks. Now, this one, I won't say it's the most creative logo of all time. There's no hidden message. I just think it looks pretty sick having the shark chomping down on a hockey stick. I think it looks fierce. I think the aquamarine / teal color combined with the black, I think that's always a great color combination. So just visually, speaking, I think it's good. It also kind of resembles one of the logos that I unbiasedly put a little bit later on this list. But yeah, the San Jose Sharks logo, it's a good logo. You can clearly tell it's a hockey team because he's biting down on a hockey stick. It's a fierce shark, good colors, gotta love it. Coming in at number 6, Chicago Blackhawks. I think the detailing in this logo is just kind of what does it for me. I hope the Blackhawks, because they're an original 6 team, never fall victim to the minimalist thing that's going on in our society. I mean, even the the Bruins kind of minimalized their logo a little bit, which I don't like very much. This Chicago Blackhawks logo has so much detail, and I just think it's perfect. Like, for what their team is, they are the Blackhawks, and that logo is just absolutely beautiful. It looks fantastic on a jersey, and I don't think anyone dislikes the Chicago Blackhawks jersey in terms of how it looks. I mean, they look just absolutely fantastic. And then coming in at number 5, unbiasedly, the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, come on, how can you not love this? The black and gold, it's an iconic color combination. Those two colors just go together so perfectly. You have the penguin holding the hockey stick. It's an iconic logo. It's attached to Mario Lemieux. It's attached to Jaromir Jagr, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. Some of the greatest players to ever play this game. So just when you mix the little bit of the historical significance in with just the fact that it's a dope-ass penguin playing hockey. Like, I think it looks so cool. I think also because it's a penguin, it's ice hockey. I mean, when you think of the Winter Classic logo with the scarf on, it's perfect. It's so versatile for alternate logos. I think it's fantastic. Coming in at number 4 on this list is the newest addition to the NHL logo family, the Utah Mammoth. I mean, talk about a good logo. You got the fierce tusks on that mammoth coming out, and then the back of it is the mountains. Really encapsulates that snowy, wintry vibe that you feel whenever you're watching hockey, especially when you're there at the rink. I absolutely love that Utah Mammoth logo. Coming in at number 3, original 6 team, absolutely fire logo, the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, it's just perfect. A logo that has stood the test of time ever since the dawn of hockey. Represents the Motor City well. It's a wheel. There's a wing on the back. The logo's red. What more can you say? It's iconic, it's visually pleasing, and it perfectly encapsulates Detroit and just running on motors. Motor City, the Red Wings. They go hand in hand. It's an iconic logo, and it's great for the city that they're in. And number 2 on this list, it's the Colorado Avalanche. I love this logo. I think it's great. I love that the snow is coming down across the A to fully make that an A, as if, it is an avalanche. The A itself, it's snow-capped. The burgundy and the kind of navy-ish light blue with the white, it's just a bunch of great colors meshing together. And once again, it's iconic. That Colorado Avalanche logo is iconic. It's so fun. It feels like the logo is alive a little bit, kind of in that same way of the fire burning off the back of the C in the Calgary Flames logo. That snow rushing down the A in the Avalanche logo, once again, gives you that wintry vibe whenever you're watching hockey live or just anywhere. I absolutely love it. Looks absolutely great on the sweaters, too. Absolute beauty. And at number 1, best logo in the NHL. I didn't even have to think about it. I knew it immediately. It's the Minnesota Wild. You can debate me about this all you want if you want to. I don't think it is debatable. That Minnesota Wild logo is absolutely beautiful. You got the North Star in the eye. You have the moon/sun, whatever it's going for. It could honestly be either. Just because it's yellow, it could be the moon or the sun. It looks great. You have the trees within the wild beast that is their logo. The forest green, that red, that yellow, the colors just go together so well. It's a fierce logo. It perfectly represents Minnesota. It's just visually pleasing. I can't say enough good things about this logo. It is absolutely beautiful, and that is my pick for what is the best logo in the NHL. So once again, going from 10 down to 1, we got the Devils at 10, the Flames at 9, the Golden Knights at 8, the Sharks at 7, the Blackhawks at 6, Penguins at 5, the Mammoth at 4, the Red Wings at 3, the Avalanche at 2, and the Minnesota Wild is the number 1 logo in the NHL. So with that, I would like to thank you all for sticking around with me for this entire first episode of Givin Takes with Nate Miller. I had a lot of fun filming this. There were definitely some bumps in the road. I hope this does nothing but get better as I go on recording this every week. And for everyone out there watching, I'd like to say thank you for getting in on the ground floor of this with me. This is episode 1. This is the start of something new. The start of something fun that, like I said at the top of this, that I hope to grow and create into something really just fun one day. Something that's bigger than itself. Just a big sports media show online. That's what I want this to be. It won't happen overnight. It'll take a long time. So I would really appreciate if you liked this. I would like it. Share it with people. Subscribe, follow. I'll have the Instagram for this channel down in the description. Currently only posting this on the YouTube because I don't really have a fandom, let alone a fandom that'll like need to listen to this on like Spotify or something. So for now, it's just video. It's just going to be on YouTube. I'll hope to post like reels and clips and stuff on Instagram. So if you do like this or you like me, I don't know if you do, but hopefully you do. That'd be pretty cool. Like it, share it, tell your friends, tell your family about it if they like sports, and I think that's all I have. So thank you for listening, and those were my takes.